So, thank you for having me here today. Reverend Zemke asked me to come and speak because of my background in business and seeing the insights moving forward. And when I started to think about that, I was like, well, how do you approach that for a temple such as the Temple of the Living God? Well, then it reminded me of a conversation I had walking my dog, and I ran across a pastor of a church. And he was struggling with the idea of how does he start bringing more people into his church and sustain his congregation and also fulfill their mission. That was the biggest thing on his mind. How do we fulfill our mission? And so it started to lead me into the question recently that is a big thing in the business world that applies, I believe, in a temple or in a church. And that comes down to this. We are right now in our world, in the business world, asking the question as leaders in the business world. We're calling this the Great Resignation right now. This is what we're calling everything. And the reason why we're calling that is because the three major things that people searched for during the pandemic, does anybody know what their internet searches were? The three biggest things that they were searching for on Google? Number one was, how do I start having fun again? Two, how do I feel fulfillment again? And the third one is, how do I spend more time with my family and loved ones? Those were the things that were on people's mind during the pandemic. And so what that leads me into is that is very similar to me what a church would do or a temple would do in the body, mind, and spirit. You have physical needs for the body, you have the spirit, and then you have the mind. You have to occupy or grow the mind. So the essence of a church or a temple lies in the gathering of like-minded individuals, creating a space for spiritual, physical growth within the community. It serves as a platform for the collective pursuit of common interests and goals, including serving one another in a larger surrounding community, as we were talking about with an outreach program. For a church to make a lasting impact, it is essential for its members to work in a synergy. And synergy, as Stephen Covey would put, is taking a bunch of different ideas and creating something greater that any one individual can come up with. So that is a group of like-minded people working on one mission together and using their ideas to grow in a community. So considering the future, the church or temple must take steps to define its identity as a community and its mission. It should be ponder the following questions. How does the church envision itself, and what is its mission? And I believe one of those is a community outreach, as Amanda eloquently said earlier. Also in education. Now my background is in project management and in learning and development for large corporations. And one of the common things we are looking at right now is how people and consumers consume products, whether it be financial or actual products. And it is not always necessarily, they want two things. They still want connection with people in a physical location. They want that. But they also want to be able to do some of these things in the comfort of their home. And also, learning and growth and spiritual growth doesn't always happen on one time of the week. So one of the things that we're looking at, and I believe is very sustainable in a temple, is what is called online learning. Now that it can be done through YouTube or TikTok, and the reason why I say this when we're talking about bringing in younger people, think about what younger people, not just millennials, now we have to think about another generation, am I correct? Generation Z. We used to think Generation X was young, but I guess we're not young anymore. So, according to Amanda. But think about how they consume their information. And that's one of the things as leaders we have to start thinking about. How do younger people consume their information? They consume it, and I know this is a touchy subject, but TikTok, YouTube, and stuff like that. Now, it doesn't have to be done in those areas, and that's one of the things that we talk about in business, we talk about as leaders. We start thinking about how people learn. People learn in microdoses. They learn in what are called, in learning and development, we call it micro-learning. So one of the things you can do is create online learning. So the wisdom of all the collective of this temple, when you're teaching classes, not just the Sunday service, can be recorded. But not just put on YouTube, put there for people to buy and consume. It's called evergreen. It's where you have evergreen learning, where they actually learn something at their own pace. They still come to class, but then they have it for the future. Does that make sense? Okay, and the reason that is actually a very affordable option for an organization, and it's something that I've been doing now for 25 years, and something that we're really looking at really intensely now. What is the approach of the church of mission, or sorry, the other things I would think of is not just about spiritual classes. One of the things that is a big internet search is not just on how do I feed myself spiritually, it's also on how do I honor this temple that has the Spirit within me. And so one of the things that is being searched right now is permaculture, how to grow a garden. Here's another big thing that Gen Zs are looking at, and some people might smile with this. They're learning how to can their vegetables. They're learning how to do arts and crafts. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't listen to my grandmother when she taught me those things, so if there was somebody I could learn from, I would definitely go and learn. But the great thing about online learning and putting them something as evergreen, it's going to be there forever, so your wisdom will be there for generations until this temple's 126th anniversary. So there's a lot of things we can think about when we're looking at growing in the mission and moving forward. So the next question is, what approach does the church wish to adopt in pursuit of its mission? So I already mentioned online education, but the one biggest thing and the biggest value that you have in your life and the most valuable thing you have is not money, it's what? Does anybody know what it is? Time. So one of the biggest things we look at in business is how do we approach things and save human time, the commodity of the people that are doing the jobs every day. So one of the things that we're actually looking at in business is we're actually changing the name of customer service to client experience. Why are we doing that? One of the reasons why we're doing that is because client experience, we're looking at the experience of not only the internal clients, that's the employees, but also the clients outside, the ones that are consuming the products. So what we're looking at is that experience, and so that's things where we're looking at how we present this information. That's why a lot of people are ordering their groceries online now and having them delivered, although some people will say, I still want to pick my vegetables out. So what do we do? And that's one of the things, so we start to look at maximizing our time so that we can focus in on other things that require human attention, like healing, energetic healing, those things, or the chaplains in the back that are actually talking to people. That can't be replaced by online experiences, but it can be done in group coaching on through Zoom, where people maybe not be able to be here on Sunday, but you have a person sitting on Zoom and having a chaplain there. So how can the church encourage and embrace diverse ideas, blending them cohesively to enhance its mission? It's not just about bringing younger people in, it's about bringing people in of different dynamics and different backgrounds. So you want people that understand finances, you want people that understand creativity and art, you want people that understand sustainability, you want people that are older and younger, because the older bring in the wisdom of their life experience, and the youth bring in fresh ideas. So one of the things that we're looking at in businesses and leaders is we're not just hiring people that have 30 years experience, but we're also not just hiring people that are fresh out of college with fresh ideas. You want people of all ranges and ages. Why? Because they bring different ideas to help push us and challenge us as an organization and as a business. And a temple, a church, is a business. It's a spiritual business, but it is a business. And that's something that we have to start thinking about when we're looking at it. One of the things, and that's why diversity and inclusion programs are so important in companies, is because we want to bring those different ideas to the table. So one of the things that I would challenge the church to do is, yes, go on to outreach programs. One of the other things I would think about is to go out to all these other churches in the area and do an Olympic Games of the churches of Pinellas County, or something fun along those lines. Several years ago, I did something at Sacred Lands where I invited all the local churches to come, and we spoke, and we had music and live music all day, and I called it a metaphysical revival. And the reason being is because I wanted to bring them together to start working together. And what do you do from there? There's a council that Reverend Carmen and I are part of called the Interfaith Temple or Interfaith Council of Pinellas County that our friend Reverend McLeod heads up. That's another way to bring different ideas and get the church out there or the temple out there in front of the community so that they can grow, as well as going out and doing outreach programs. So what are the benefits from having a leadership team? One of the things that is of all ages, one of the things I would think of is not just a youth group to bring in youth people that are younger, but maybe a youth pastor that's handling that child daycare on Sunday mornings, that is teaching, and they're a younger pastor that is being mentored by the wisdom of the senior pastor and the other leaders so that they can grow into who they could potentially be, whether it be a pastor of a church or a spiritual leader in business, because then we're impacting the community out here in the business world. So there's a lot of different ideas of how we can handle things, but one of the things that is definitely a big thing is that I will tell you to take away from this is, how do we impact people and help them learn? People learn, with my 25 years of teaching people learn differently. So some people learn here at a location and as having somebody lecture, and some people learn by experience, and some people learn by they have to get in there and do it. And so that's how, and this is an educational platform where people are learning how to grow spiritually and get more in connection to that Christ consciousness within, but more importantly, how to take care of themselves on a holistic level. And so there's a lot of different things that we can do. And so the questions not only apply for the business, but also to the temple. This world is changing faster than most of us can even keep up with. And so that's why we have to come together, and this is what we do in business. We actually bring people together. We do focus groups with customers that are outside and internally, and we ask them the questions. And so we ask them these specific questions and ask them to start thinking. So one of the things I would challenge the members of this church to do is to bring fresh ideas to the board of directors of this church, to the spiritual leaders of this church, to say, hey, have you ever thought about this? No idea is a bad idea. It may not be something you can do right then. And that's up to the leaders to say, hey, right now we've got $8,000 for a roof. Well, we can't necessarily afford that. But this is also focusing on the resolution, or the blessing, as you would say, as opposed to focusing in just on the financial obligations. And I think I am at time. And thank you, everybody, for having me here. And let me share my insights.